Hello and welcome back everyone to another episode of the Doug Las Vegas Bets UFC Betting Show. This week we are going over UFC Houston as the UFC comes back from a week off, headlined by Sean Strickland taking on Anthony Hernandez in a middleweight bout. This is a good card. I think there's lots of good banger matchups on this from the prelims to the main card, so let's get into it. Let's start off with our main event of Sean Strickland versus Fluffy Hernandez. Now, Sean Strickland, we know, the former champion with his trademark style, the teeps, the jabs, the forward pressure, defensively responsible, not much finishing ability. I mean, the book's out on him. He's 34, he's been in the UFC for a long time. We saw him move up from 170 to 185 after the motorcycle accident. Went on his title run, beat Adesanya, lost it to DDP. I think we're going to get the same Strickland for a while now. I mean, at 34, he hasn't really shown signs of slowing, so I'm not concerned about that, even after the loss of DDP. I think he's reached his peak, of course, being a champion. But I do think there's still a good few years of Sean Strickland left. On the other side, we're looking at Fluffy Hernandez, who's just kind of breaking into that contendership level with wins over Michel Pereira, where he dominated him in a main event. And then kind of the breakout mainstream performance that even had people calling for him to jump straight to a title fight against Roman Delija, where he absolutely embarrassed a difficult opponent in Delija. Delija's well-rounded. He's proven to be tricky on the ground, on the feet. He ate his best shots and just wore him down. It was a really good performance. Fluffy's known for his cardio, his pressure, his pace, his wrestling. He's very difficult to deal with if you can't stop that takedown and hurt him early. We have seen him hurt to the body, like against Kevin Holland, but those are early career, kind of early UFC career, I should say. I think he's clearly grown a lot as a fighter since then, both in terms of just physicality and like his style. He's grown into his style. As far as my pick for this fight, I like Fluffy here. I don't think Strickland has the takedown defense to hold up here. He might get up once or twice. In the early round, it might be close. He might force some striking, but I think as the rounds wear on, as the takedown attempts add up, it's going to take longer and longer for him to get up. Fluffy's going to be the one doing the damage while he's getting up. It's going to be difficult for Strickland to find a rhythm on the feet against that kind of pressure. Overall, I like Fluffy. I think he gets a decision here because Strickland's always got good cardio. He's shown pretty good durability. I think he's going to be difficult to submit. He's not just going to kind of crumble like Pereira or Delija did. So give me Fluffy by decision, and I think I'm going to throw him in the parlay of the week. That's not official yet. Not going to make it official because last week we tried to with Javid Basharat against Said Nurmagomedov, and he pulled out. So just tentatively, I'm looking at Fluffy as a piece for the parlay this week. Next up, we got a banger at welterweight as Geoff Neal takes on Medić in a matchup of devastating knockout strikers. Neal, we haven't seen the knockouts so much in a while. We've seen him knock out Vicente Luque. We saw him finish Rafael dos Anjos. Got the devastating head kick over Frank Camacho. But he's starting to reach the later stage of his career, I feel like. We've seen him take these layoffs with the health issues. He's been open about substance abuse issues. And now he's coming off the first round knockout loss to Carlos Prates. All these things are reason for concern. But I still think Geoff Neal is a solid, tough out. I don't think he looked bad against Prates at all. I thought he was fairly competitive through the first round, just got hit with that crazy spinning elbow that would have put most people down, so it's hard to hold that against him too much. I don't think we're going to see the best Geoff Neal ever again, but I do think he's still a tough out with some left in the tank. Medić on the other side is the definition of kill or be killed. He's had 4 straight fights end in the first round, 3 of those being knockouts on his part, 1 being a 30-second knockout loss to Punahele Soriano. And I mean, that pretty much tells you everything you need to know about this guy. He's glass chin. Yeah, I'd say that's fair. I think you see him get dropped by Gilbert Urbina, knocked out by Punahele in under a minute. I think the durability concerns are very real with Medić. That being said, he's also got dynamite in his hands. We've seen him blow up Tim Means. We saw him take out Urbina, even though we got dropped by him. He finished him still in about a minute. His last 2 fights combined is just about 2 minutes. So the guy's dangerous, kill or be killed. He's willing to go in there and swing, which makes this fight a banger. He does have questionable grappling, but gonna ignore that for this one because I don't think we're gonna be seeing Geoff Neal go out there and shoot double legs. In the end, I am picking Jeff Neal pretty comfortably here, and there's a little more to it. Because this is a massive step down in competition for Neal. I just can't, in good faith, say that a guy on the caliber of Uros Medić can go out there and beat Jeff Neal more often than not. Uros Medić being who he is makes it a little more difficult. I'm not interested in playing Jeff Neal because it's Uros Medić. Because I do think he can go out there and end him in the first round. He should. My pick is Jeff Neal knockout in the first round. But that wild card of the power of Medić, I think it leaves things wide open for this fight to go either way. But in the end, I trust the durability and the skill set of Jeff Neal far more. So give me Jeff Neal by first round KO. Next up, a good test here at featherweight as Dan Ige takes on Melky Costa. Ige, a durable, stocky power puncher vet. We've seen him step up against a lot of the toughest guys in the division. We saw him step up against Diego Lopez on short notice. We saw him take on Patricio Pitbull lately. We've seen him fight guys like Movzar. We know what he is. You know, we can see him land that big right hand on guys like Gavin Tucker, Andre Feely. Almost took out Lerone Murphy with it. Does have his issues, can be relatively low volume. We've seen him controlled on the ground a good bit. I still 34 years old. I still trust the durability. I don't think he's rapidly declining. We've only seen him really ever hurt once, that time against Pitbull. On the other side, Melky Costa, fast rising. He's just 29. He's won 5 straight, coming off that head kick knockout over Morgan Charrier. I've been really impressed with the rounding out of his skill set. He's become a good control grappler, pretty good striker. He took that decision against Christian Rodriguez. He's beat Andre Feely, showed the submission skills. Obviously showed he's dangerous on the feet with that head kick against Charrier. I've been impressed. I think he's really come into his own in his prime on this win streak, and I think this is a good spot for him. I'm a little disappointed at the decision price. I think in the past we would have gotten Costa by decision around -110, but I think the books are getting a little better at reading the guys with the durability. I still do like Costa by decision around -130, -140 range if you can get in there. I just think that's his only real path. I think he's the higher volume striker, the better control grappler, and Ige is so durable. I really don't think Costa can consistently finish him. I think maybe he gets him, maybe he's the first, but I doubt it. So I think if you're taking Costa, you got to take him by decision. And that's what I'm going to do here. So give me Melky Costa to take a decision. Next up, we're in everyone's favorite division these days at heavyweight as Sergey Spivac takes on Ante Delija. Spivac's a guy I think we've seen some good improvements from him since his early days in the UFC. I mean, we saw him come in really young, especially for a heavyweight. We saw him fighting Tom Aspinall at 26 when they were both ranked. And I think since then we've seen notable improvements in both his wrestling and in particular his striking, especially that last fight against Waldo Cortez Acosta. I thought he looked like a completely different striker than he had in the past. I thought he ate shots better. He defended better with the strong high guard. He kept the forward pressure going to keep Waldo on the back foot and limit the power shots. And his wrestling carried through to the point where he was able to pick Waldo Cortez Acosta up in the third round and slam him. And obviously that's a big heavyweight. That takes some real strength to do that in the third round. On the other side, Ante Delija, he's 35. He's just come into the UFC, and he's had 2 of these first round not back and forth in the Tybura case, but against Cortez Acosta. We saw him come in and run through Marcin Tybura, a very impressive debut. And then the Cortez Acosta fight, it looked like he did that again. There was an eye poke in there, and he ends up getting knocked out. And I think that's kind of the story with him. He'll blitz in, and if he catches you, he catches you. If not, I have concerns about his durability, his distance striking. He's got a decent jab, but he does not respond well to getting hit. We saw Valentin Moldavsky hit him with 1 power shot, and he basically checked out of the fight completely after that. And then Waldo Cortez Acosta, he was unable. I mean, you can say it's because of the eye poke. At the end of the day, he didn't eat that right hand well. He wasn't able to come back in. All I can evaluate is what I see, and I saw Cortez Acosta knock him out in the first round. So at the end of the day, I think where the odds are, I took Spivac as the underdog best bet of the week. Some of you probably saw that on Instagram or Twitter. I just like him at these odds. I think this is the younger guy who's more well-rounded. Either guy can catch them early. But I'll ask the question for anyone who is confident in Delija. What do you think this fight looks like if he doesn't absolutely run through Spivac? If he doesn't go through, blitz him, and do what he did to Tybura, what does the fight look like? And I think that fight clearly favors Sergey Spivac. So yeah, I'm taking Spivac straight here. I'm going to take him to get a first-round knockout. We've seen Delija have these issues. We've seen him evolving as a striker. I think they'll trade a little early, and Spivac can catch him, and Delija will have trouble getting back into it like he has in the past. So yeah, give me Sergey Spivac by first-round knockout. Give me Spivac moneyline as the underdog best bet of the week. This one's a short notice matchup at welterweight between two undefeated up-and-comers in Jacoby Smith and Josiah Harrell. Jacoby Smith's one of my favorite prospects in the sport. I haven't been shy about that. I think his wrestling background combined with the bricks that he has in his hands is going to bode very well for the future. The Nico Price fight wasn't the best look in the world, but I think it's good for him to have those kind of experiences where he doesn't just run through the guy. Like, he almost ran through Nico Price in a minute, and I think it's good for him to feel what it's like for a guy to survive that and have to keep fighting through that. I think it was good that it was a guy like Nico Price. I think he's going to learn and get even better from that. So yeah, I don't see many real weaknesses in Jacoby Smith's game when you're talking about fighting at this level. Josiah Harrell comes in on short notice. He has tried to step in on short notice before in the UFC. He tried to fight Jack Della Maddalena on short notice a few years back when he ended up fighting... what's his name? Basil Hafez, and that was a split decision. Harrell was initially supposed to step in there, and you might remember they caught some form of cancer, I believe, brain cancer or something, where he had to be pulled from that fight. Thankfully, he recovered, obviously, went back to the regional scene, had a few more good performances, and here he finds himself with another short notice opportunity in the UFC. I like him. His nickname, I think, sums him up pretty well, the Muscle Hamster. He's a shorter, stockier guy with decent striking. Really good top game when he's on the ground. Does well to do damage, find submissions, and wear guys out. But he can get out-wrestled. We saw a lot in his last fight. The guy was out-wrestling him early, and it's not some killer. You know, it wasn't LFA. It wasn't some random organization. He was decent. But still, when you're seeing a guy get clearly out-wrestled, spend time on bottom on these regional scenes, then you're stepping up and you're fighting a guy who has the wrestling of Jacoby Smith. It's concerning. So, shocker, I'm going with Jacoby Smith here. I think Harrell's good. I think he'll find a way to win fights in the UFC down the road. But coming in on short notice against Jacoby Smith, I think it's just too much of a tall ask. So Smith is likely going to be a piece of the parlay of the week this week. Give me Smith to get it done by second round TKO. Now a pair of finishers at middleweight as Zach Reese takes on Michel Pereira. Reese is a big athletic dude with decent submissions, good power. We saw him knock out Julian Marquez early. I haven't historically been the highest on him throughout his UFC run. He's even had a bit more success than maybe I thought he would have. Some people might remember I took Cody Brundage against him at plus 190 when he got the nice slam KO. Overall, yeah, I mean, I see a big athletic guy with decent submissions, maybe limited finishing power. He hasn't really done anything outside that Julian Marquez knockout. Michel Pereira on the other side, fast, dangerous, early finisher, coming off 3 straight losses, including that ugly first-round knockout to Kyle Dawkins last time out. So there's some concerns on both sides. I've seen a lot of people trying to fade both of these guys throughout. But I think there's a clear level in this. I think Michel Pereira is on a different level. We've seen Michel Pereira go out there and finish guys like Andre Petrosky, Mikola Jacek in the first minute. And sure, those guys aren't world beaters, but who has Zach Reese beat that's even comparable to that? What has Zach Reese done that is comparable to finishing those guys in less than a minute? And his losses, I mean, does Zach Reese beat any of those guys? Does Zach Reese beat Anthony Hernandez? I don't think so. Does he beat Kyle Dawkins? I doubt it. So yeah, I think this is a bit of a nice discount on Michel Pereira. I'm thinking about making him a piece of the parlay this week at minus 150, minus 160. Hasn't been the most historically trustworthy guy, but I think the drop down in competition here makes this a value spot for him. This one's a pair of power punchers at welterweight. As Chidi Njokuani takes on Carlos Leal. It's a good matchup, and the first thing I want to say is do not overthink the line movement. This, we saw Chidi open up north of plus 200. Now it's just around a pick'em. Chidi around plus 100. Leal still very slight favorite in most spots. I just want to make it clear. Do not overthink this line movement. This isn't rigged. There is no, it's unlikely there's an injury. I think this is just a simple case of the market opened up wrong and people corrected it. I don't think Chidi should have been that size an underdog against Carlos Leal. And people acted on it. So I just wanted to open with that because I have seen some talk about the line. We don't need to turn every bit of line movement into some grand conspiracy, right? Line movement happens. It's normal. I think it's normal in this fight. Don't overthink it. Nobody needs to call the FBI. Okay? Now that that's out of the way, let's evaluate the fight. Njokuani is a huge welterweight with good striking. The Muay Thai background, obviously, a lot of guys go out to train with him. And he's got the frame for it. He's got the long legs. He lands the knees well, the elbows well. He was knocking guys out up at middleweight, so you know he's got the power. The question's been the cardio, the output, and the grappling, as we saw Jake Matthews tap him out in about a minute last time out. So there's questions. He's also 37 years old and takes on a brutal weight cut to get down to welterweight. I don't know how he makes welterweight. He's huge for it. So that's going to be getting rougher every time he fights. On the other side, Carlos Leal, just 31. He's pretty fresh in the UFC. We just saw him take that bad knockout loss to Muslim Salikov as a big favorite. But he also had some impressive showings as what was a loss to Renat Fakhretdinov, but we all kind of know what that was. And then he got a good knockout over Alex Morono. So, we're getting a solid, stocky power puncher. I don't think he's anything special. He doesn't really have much grappling base. His durability's got to be a concern after taking that one. It was a great right hand from Salikov, but if you're getting knocked out by Muslim Salikov in the first round, there is note for concern. Overall, I think this is a close fight. Both power punchers, I have my concerns on both sides. I'm going to lean Leal at the end of the day just because of the age. I think he's only 31 and Njokuani's 37. I think Leal still has a few more good years of maybe even getting better with the UFC experience in the tank, whereas I think we've seen the best in Njokuani. He's going to be down on the way out. Either way, I'm not confident to take a side in this one. I think Njokuani has the power to finish Leal, but based on age, I do lean with Carlos Leal. I'll take him to get a third round knockout. Next, a fun one between two explosive flyweights in Ode Osbourne and Alibi Idiris. Now, Osbourne's a vet. We've seen him in the UFC for a while. We've seen the ups, the downs. He's a lengthy, explosive striker. Good power in his hands. We saw him knock out Luis Gurule, drop Rodriguez, almost took out Steve Ursag in his last fight. The problem has been the cardio, the IQ, and the submission defense. And all three of those have become serious issues for him. We've seen him slow down bad with output in fights. We've seen him get submitted several times in the first round by Jafel Filo. Asu Al-Mabayev got him too. And we've seen the fight IQ cost him with things like jumping knees at range against Tyson Nam. Manel Kopp ran right into the right hand. So Osbourne's got the physical tools, but he's inconsistent. On the Idiris side, he comes in off the Ultimate Fighter where he lost the finale, his first career loss to Joseph Morales where he was submitted. I thought he showed some good things. He's a decently well-rounded guy, not the best wrestling or grappling, but he'll try and mix it in if he sees the opportunity, and he's got nice spinning, explosive striking attacks that he doesn't throw kind of way out of range like we've seen Osbourne throw. I still think he's got a lot of experience to gain. Obviously, he came in undefeated, and then Morales gave him what looked to be a pretty good vet lesson, as we've seen Morales in the UFC before. So I think if Idiris grows from that, he's still got a future in this. I don't think that was a career-defining loss. As far as my pick, I'm going to lean towards Idiris. I think it's a close fight. I can see the argument for Ode with the size and the physical tools. I just trust Idiris more to keep up the output over 3 rounds, to be a bit more durable, defensively responsible. So I'll take a slight lean on Idiris to get a decision in this one. Another one at flyweight here is Alden Coria looks to build on a strong debut, and Luis Gurule looks to get things on track. So yeah, Coria, I said he had an impressive debut. His debut was pretty shocking to me. I'm pretty high on Alessandro Costa, and he looked like the better boxer. Got reversed a couple times in the grappling, but overall, when you're fighting a guy like that, and you're not a grappler by trade, that's going to happen. I thought his jab looked really good. I thought his boxing was sharp. He was defensively responsible. And again, against a high level opponent on short notice in Alessandro Costa. Also, just 27 years old. Good cardio. He got the finish late, put the pressure on when he had to. It wasn't injury to Costa, but I mean, the guy knew when to put the pressure on, so I give him credit. Yeah, I like Correa. Gurule on the other side is 0-2 with a knockout loss to Ode Osbourne, and then Jesus Aguilar took him out at UFC Noche by decision. He's just kind of a plotty, stocky boxer. I think he's fine skill-wise, but when you get down to these lower weight classes, you got guys who are going to mix it up, guys who are going to have these really eye-catching speed, and Gurule just doesn't. He's just very plotty, stocky, kind of, if he can't land the power shots with the hands going forward, he gets kind of lost. Yeah, I think he's going to have to grow a lot if he wants to hang around in the UFC, especially after 2 losses to guys who aren't necessarily, they're not guys you want to be losing to. No need to sugarcoat it. So yeah, no surprise I'm taking Correa here. I think he's going to get a finish. I'm going to take him to get another 3rd round knockout finish. I think he's just a younger, more polished striker. He's faster, more defensively responsible. I think the price is justified. Give me Correa. Next up, a rematch at women's bantamweight as Nora Cornolle takes on Jocelyn Edwards again after they fought at UFC France recently. Or several years ago, I should say. Cornolle is now 36, an aggressive kickboxer who swings with big intent for someone in the division. Also has decent grappling. We've seen her get submission wins in the UFC. She has a high finishing rate for the division. When I see her, I think of physicality. She's a good physical fighter, not necessarily the best minute winner. She did get the win the first time these two fought, although I think anyone who watched the fight disputes that decision, except for those 3 judges. So yeah, she's a decent minute winner, aggressive striker, not necessarily the greatest movement, decent on the ground, decent all around. Jocelyn Edwards comes in having 3 straight, not just wins, but finishes in the division. She's now 30 years old, really seeming to have come into her own, showing some striking power, showing solid grappling. I mean, Jocelyn Edwards has been impressive. I think she's on a good run here, and I think she gets the job done this time. I think she should have got it done last time. I think this time it's going to go to decision again. I think she's clearly the better minute winner. She's going to out-volume. She'll be able to avoid any of the big power shots. She's younger, entering her prime, where Cornolle is fading out of hers at 36. I think this is an easy, open-shut Jocelyn Edwards by decision pick. Not much further analysis there, considering we've already seen the fight, and I don't see how much different it goes here. I think Edwards is better. Cornolle is probably worse than she was. So give me Jocelyn Edwards. Here we got a banger welterweight prelim between 2 guys on 3-fight win streaks as Brahimaj squares off with Punahele Soriano. Brahimaj's a finisher. You could say he's a submission specialist. He has that 1 knockout against Mickey Gall, but really he's going for the guillotine, and he gets it a good amount. Got it on Austin Vanderford the last time we saw him sink it in on Billy Goff. He's dangerous when he's anywhere near the neck, any opportunity he gets. That being said, he's limited striking, limited cardio. He's never won a decision in his career, just the 1 knockout. I mean, the guy's got a limited game. His wrestling isn't great. We saw Austin Vanderford was out wrestling him, just played around in the guard too much, got stuck in the guillotine. So overall, he's dangerous, but you know what he's trying to do to win the fight. Punahele on the other side, he's looked pretty good since he moved down to welterweight. He had some struggles with game planning, fight IQ, you could say. The Dustin Stoltzfus fight, he came out with kind of a confusing plan, just loading up the left hand and calling it a day, gassing out, getting tapped out. But he moved down, got the nice win over Miguel Baeza, got a big win over Uros Medić early, showing that power's still there. Now he's coming off the win over Nikolai Veretennikov, where he mixed in the wrestling pretty well. Overall, I lean Puna here. I think he just has more ways to win. I think he's the better striker, the better wrestler. Cardio, I think he actually has the advantage here despite historically not having the best cardio. Yeah, overall, I think this is another spot where Brahimaj sub or bust. So if you're giving me Puna at dog odds, I'm going to pick Puna. I could see Puna wrestling his way to a decision. I could see him landing strikes and getting a knockout. Overall, I just think he has more ways to win and will end up winning more often than not here. So with that, give me Punahele Soriano. I'll say he takes a decision because Brahimaj is pretty tough to get out of there. Next up, a good one between welterweight finishers as John Paul Lebosnoyani takes on Phil the Fresh Prince Rowe. For Lebosnoyani, he debuts here off a fun win on Contender Series where he ran through the guy in just about a minute. And when I say ran through, I mean literally. He kicked him in the head and then sprinted into the right hand that he knocked him down and out with. So it was a fun finish. We've seen him got the submission in the first round to get the fight on Contender Series. He's young, just 27 years old, fought in LFA for a while, so that's a quality organization to come out of. And he takes on Phil the Fresh Prince Rowe. Phil Rowe, we've seen him in the UFC. The book's kind of out on him. If you can wrestle him and stay on top, you'll control him to the win, like Angelosa was on the way to doing, like Seok-Hyun Ko was able to do in his last fight. But if you gas out, if you show any opportunity for him late, he'll go hard to find the finish. He managed to finish Angelosa late, finish Nico Price late. So he uses that length, and he's got some power, some good finishing ability if you're not going to be there for all 3 rounds. Which, in the case of Lebosnoyani, maybe can be, but we have seen him knocked out in both of his career losses, including one to Spike Carlisle, who some guys might remember from back in the quarantine days. He was a fun action fighter, had the good fight with Billy Quarantillo, but not a guy you want to see yourself get knocked out by in the first round, even if John Paul was just in his early 20s. Still a little concern there. So for this one, it's kind of interesting to bet on. You're seeing JPL at this minus 200 price tag, and anytime I see someone coming off Contender Series at a price tag like that against a vet that people have considered struggling, I want to take the vet. So in this spot, I think there is value on Phil Rowe, but I'll say even further, if you want a really juicy prop for this one, Phil Rowe by KO. Phil Rowe doesn't really win decisions. He doesn't really win submissions. We've seen John Paul Lebosnoyani finished in both of his losses. I think this is a spot where Phil Rowe can give him a bit of a vet lesson. He's a tough guy to take out on the feet. If you make mistakes and leave openings, he'll find them. So I'll take the surprise upset here, and I'll go with Phil Rowe to get a second round knockout win here, defeat the debuting John Paul Lebosnoyani, and Phil Rowe by knockout at plus 500 feels like a really live prop at a huge number. Next, a fun one between featherweight grapplers as Yadir Deval takes on Jordan Leavitt. Deval has been impressive. He's come into the UFC and got 2 first-round submission wins, even if the one over Bulgarian has some sketchy context with it, with the betting scandal, whatever you want to call it, that's got Bulgarian now out of fighting. Deval did what he had to do. I mean, he came in, choked the guy out. I don't know what he was supposed to do. Can still look at his debut where he ran through Connor Matthews. That was very impressive. I was impressed by his showing on Contender Series. He showed that despite not having the knockouts on his record, the guy's got good striking. It's definitely not something to overlook and say, oh, well, he hasn't knocked anybody out, so he's not, you don't have to worry about the striking. You do have to worry about the striking with this guy. Jordan Leavitt on the other side, pure grappler, decent submission game. We've seen him get some knockouts with the slam over Matt Weinman and the knee. But you're not going to see that consistently. He's a grappler. He's looking to wrestle right away. He's looking to get in the scrambles. And he's decent at it, but we've seen Chase Hooper and Paddy Pimblett both choked him out. So we're seeing other grapplers choke him out. And, no offense to Hooper and Pimblett, these guys aren't even the best submission aces in the division. So if you're getting submitted by them as grapplers, yeah, maybe it was time to move down to 145. I don't see much threat from Leavitt in this matchup. I agree with Deval being a huge favorite here. I think he gets the finish. I'll pick him by submission just because that's more of his game, and I see Leavitt constantly pushing the grappling, where I still think Deval is much stronger. So if it ends up being a grappling fight, I think he finds a submission. Won't discount him getting the knockout because I think if they strike for an extended period, he's a much better striker. One way or another, I'm taking Yadir Deval inside the distance all day on this one. And to kick off the card, we have a fun one between women's flyweights, Carly Judice and Juliana Miller. Judice comes in with all 5 of her career wins coming by knockout. She's an exciting striker, as demonstrated by the fact that she was signed off Contender Series off a split decision loss. Her only 2 losses in her career are split decision to Ernest Caracate on Contender Series and Gabriela Hernandez in her debut. She has gotten knockout finishes in both of her last 2 fights, showing she has real power for this division. It wasn't just her regional thing. I think she's a legit striker. She's young at just 26 years old, so she's still growing into her game. I've been impressed so far. I think there's a lot of potential there. On the other side, Juliana Miller, seeing her come off her first official UFC win, the former Ultimate Fighter winner. She got the finish over Brogan Walker back a couple seasons ago, and then lost her first 2 fights at decision to Veronica Hardy, which, you can give her a pass on that. Hardy's shown a lot of improvements. Then getting knocked out in the first round by Luana Santos was a very bad look. She took a lot of time off, came back, and got call it a hard-fought decision win where it was a lot of clinch battling, not too much effective damage done. So I look at this fight, and Judice is a huge favorite, and it's pretty easy to see why. If you look at the fight against Luana Santos, there's massive concerns with the durability and defense of Juliana Miller. Is she going to be able to defend punches in the face? Is she even going to try, or is she just going to try and swing back? Haven't seen that much from her in terms of growth. She's only fought once, and it wasn't a very impressive win. So yeah, I think I'm going Judice by KO here. I don't see Miller being able to hold up to striking for 3 rounds. I don't see Miller being able to implement enough grappling to win this one. So yeah, I think this price makes sense. Give me Judice by KO. Thank you guys so much for watching. A quick recap of my bets. We got Sergey Spivac as the underdog of the week, Melchizedek Costa by decision as the prop of the week, and the current tentative parlay pieces are Fluffy Hernandez, Jacoby Smith, and Michelle Pereira. So with that, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment telling me what to do better, all that good stuff. Make sure to check out my social media, Doug Las Vegas Bets, on both Twitter and Instagram. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoy the fights.